Welcome to another episode of How Men Grieve. My name is Kay Rogers, your host, and I'm joined by my special guest and very close and good friend, Scott Reliford.
Hey, what's up?
Man, you have an amazing radio voice.
Yeah, it's too bad I don't have a TV face. Hold on.
That's kind of funny. Anyway, so Scott, you've been through some tragedy and some loss in your life, and as this podcast is, named How Men Grieve, I know you've lost a parent, and then most recently, just a little bit over a year and a half ago, right?
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
2 years last Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, you lost your younger brother, Kelly.
Yep.
Do you want to kind of just take us through those events and kind of what happened and maybe just kind of step us through that a little bit, if that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, Dad's been gone since 2011, March of 2011. But I tell you all the time, we're supposed to bury our parents. It's the way we're made. And siblings, it's a 50-50 shot. You're either going to bury your sister or she's going to fucking bury you.
Right.
One way or the other. Unless, of course, you die together in a plane crash or something.
Most of us can't get that lucky.
Well, that's true. So with Dad, he retired on disability and basically did what he wanted, which was sit around and watch TV. And didn't really take care of his diabetes and lost a leg over it. And what got him, I truly believe, was congestive heart failure. And very unexpected. I mean, he was in the hospital, but we all believed he was coming out. And on a Monday morning, we got a phone call that his heart had stopped and they couldn't bring him back.
Was that the first loss you experienced in your life?
Oh, no. I mean, grandparents, great uncles, great aunts. I mean, loss we're supposed to lose. Probably at that point, the closest the closest person to me, was Dad. Dude, it still sucks, but what do you do?
When it happened, how did it make you feel? I mean, do you kind of remember the time that it happened and kind of what your initial reaction or emotion was?
Dude, I think I was pretty numb. We'd been out of town on Sunday, and we were going to go up to the hospital to see him. And I called Mom, and she said that he was asleep. Just come see him tomorrow.
And then, of course, you wanted to wait till tomorrow, and then that's when it happened, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, tomorrow never got there.
Yeah. When my dad passed away, he was, and I know he did this on purpose, and I've said this before, he had been home on hospice for about, I think he made it 15 days from the time that they figured out he had cancer,
Right.
And we had been sitting with him all night, and he was kind of doing the agonal breathing and all that kind of stuff. And my mom and I were talking in the morning that we probably thought he would go, sometime that day, wasn't sure when or any of that kind of stuff. And we heard a knock at the door, and then we went in to it was a hospice nurse. So we got up, walked out of the living room, let the hospice nurse in the kitchen, and he walked in the living room and says, "Well, I think he's gone." I know he did that on purpose. He waited till we walked out of that room so then he would let go.
Yeah.
And, that generation of people are stubborn.
Oh, yeah. Not that we aren't.
No, but I do think, when you lose a parent, it almost makes you start thinking about your own mortality a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, man.
We were invincible when we were younger.
Oh, 10 foot tall and bulletproof, man.
Yeah. But we still get that way sometimes, depending on how much we've had to drink. But
sometimes I don't need the drink.
Yeah. But I remember for me, it reminded me of, that the end is going to come for everybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think I ever felt it like I did until that time.
Until you lost your dad?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it different when Nicholas passed away, right?
Right. But
when Dad died, it made me realize how short my own life was becoming.
Oh, absolutely, man.
I mean, think about it, dude. I'm 48. right? I'm coming up on 50, and I'm thinking, man, I'm past the halfway mark.
You're an old fucker, man. I can't believe you're 19 years older than me.
Oh yeah, you wish you were 30. Well, you've aged poorly, my friend. But you know what I mean? It made me realize that if I really take a hard look, it's like, man, where did the last 20 years go, or the last 30 years go?
You're telling me, man.
You know,
I got a 19-year-old that's got a 8-week-old daughter.
and beautiful little daughter,
Oh yeah.
gorgeous. But you're preaching to the choir. I got 7 grandkids. I was a grandpa at 37.
Yeah, you probably get 6 or 7 more, at least.
Why do you say things like that, Scott? I thought we were friends.
Because my daughter-in-law is talking about not having any more.
Really?
Yep.
What's your boy think of that?
You know, I never really asked him.
Well, I mean, let's face it. We don't really have a whole lot of say when it comes to that anyway.
No.
Not really at all. So you got the shock, the initial news. I'm sure the shock and the numbness was there, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think, or how long was it, do you think, before you actually felt it for the first time?
I don't know. Okay, you're talking about 9 years ago. I don't know. Probably on the way home from the hospital, I had called my boss and told him, broke the news and said, you know what, dude, I'm not coming to work this week. Don't call me. I'll call you.
Right. It's hard.
Yeah. It is.
I don't know. I think the processing, I mean, that's when you first feel it,
Yeah.
But I think the processing comes later.
Oh, the following week going back to work, I can remember just bawling, being at work crying like a little girl.
Yeah.
And, I texted Chris once the Monday after, and I said, I didn't think it'd be this fucking hard.
I don't think we really do know how hard it is.
No?
And I think every time we experience a loss of one form or another, and not even a loss, I mean...
Yeah, it's a loss.
But I just mean, because you grieve over lots of different things, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do an interview coming up of Pam's cousin. He's been divorced several times, and him and I are going to kind of talk about his feeling. I guess it is feelings of loss because you're experiencing a loss from divorce, but we're going to kind of talk about that,
Yeah.
But I know for me, I buried it. At least I thought I could bury it.
Right.
That didn't work. I failed, right? What I actually did was I just drank it,
Oh, yeah.
and I compensated in other ways that were not.
The week that Dad died is pretty freaking blurry. I mean, we lived at Gracie's.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we went to your the celebration of life for your dad up there.
Yeah.
Yep. And that back room that they had there.
Oh, yeah. And the bar. And
the bar. And
oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when we all started really... I know that's when I started drinking a lot of Gracie's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, we drank a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Masonic Fellowship.
Masonic Fellowship, that's right. The Washington Mafia.
Yeah.
So when you processed it, or when you think you started processing it, did you say to yourself, I got to make some changes because I don't like the way I feel?
No. I mean, my recent lifestyle change.
Right.
And that's totally because of my 2 granddaughters.
Right.
And honestly, I mean, it's way off subject, but, if they would have presented this to me 20 years ago, I'd have started living like this 20 years ago.
Oh, God, yeah. Once you start having those little babies come around and calling you grandpa and hugging on you.
It's not that. It's the way that they, for 20 years I've been hearing, you can't do this, you can't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And I personally don't have the mentality for that. Tell me I can't, so I can show you I will.
Yeah, that I do know about you. You're going to let them know, well, actually, I can.
Yeah, and, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, even seeing Dad lose his leg, and, Kelly was diabetic, And when he was first diagnosed, he came right out and said he was going to lose weight and beat the disease. Well, he never lost the weight. I mean, to this day, I don't know if he was diabetic when he passed or not. But, Dad dying wasn't that type of life-changing moment for me. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I miss him like the Dickens, but that wasn't my wake-up call, so to speak.
Right.
I said before that, and I still say it. I don't want to live the way I have to. I want to live the way I want to. And just now, I want to live to see my great grandbabies. So I have to live the way I'm living now. And it's not really that big a deal. I mean, moderation.
I mean, you've said it. I'm going to live the way I want to, and then now this is the way you want to live. So that's the way you're going to do it. It's because I think we all have a little bit of that. I know I do. Somebody will tell me, "Well, you can't do that." Oh, really?
Yeah.
Watch this. Hold my beer.
Exactly.
I mean, I think I think a lot of men are that way.
Yeah.
I think it is just that whole machoism thing that we all grow up and are trained to be. Is nobody's going to ever tell you can't do something,
Right.
and if they do, prove them wrong.
Exactly.
And that's us being macho. It's when we decide we want to make the changes for whatever purpose.
Right.
That's when it becomes less macho, and it's just, hey man, this is my life. I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people do that though. I think even just from a man's perspective, I don't think a lot of guys. I know a lot do, but some don't understand or care. They want to live their lives for acceptance or approval.
Right.
And I've always been one that has said, I'm not going to spend my time doing that because I really don't care if people accept or approve of what I do. It's my life. And
right.
At the end of the day, I'm the one that's got to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm
my own person.
Yeah.
Your approval is not needed.
We're all born to die, right?
Absolutely.
Every day that goes by, we're one step closer.
And tomorrow's never promised.
No, it is not. So, I want to get the enjoyment out of things that I can. I'm trying to make some lifestyle changes myself, maybe get a little bit healthier, right? Because I got a bunch, and I love having them around.
Oh, yeah.
There's something. They keep us young. Well, actually, what they do is remind me how old I'm getting because I'm usually exhausted after I spend the night watching them.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not there yet, but...
No, yours are still all snuggly and in your arms, and they don't really do a whole lot yet.
No.
But that'll change rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the oldest one. She's going to really start getting mobile.
I don't know, dude. I'm telling you, I think she's perfectly content just letting people carry her around.
That's okay.
Oh, that's what her aunt did.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, okay. So, fast forward past the loss of your dad. Like you said, it's been 9 years. He passed away, I think, 6 months after Nick did. Nick died in June of 2010.
And Dad went in March of 2011.
Yeah, so I knew it was pretty close. It wasn't very far apart.
Right.
I think
7-8 months.
Yeah, we both swilled our tears and beers more than once.
Oh, yeah. And we will again.
Absolutely. We have more tragedy that we got to work through, Unfortunately, that's the age that we're getting, Fast forward, you find out your brother is sick. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about what the disease was that he had?
He had renal cell cancer brought on by a gene mutation that I carry. It causes a syndrome called Reed syndrome. And if you have Reed syndrome and you get cancer, you get renal cell cancer. And Kelly knew the name of it. It's called HLRCC. And unfortunately, Kelly ignored all of his symptoms. The aches in his back and the whatever he went through up to and including urinating blood. He ignored all that. He always came up with a reason why it was, and he never went to go get checked out. And then we went to a scan, a low dose CT scan through our local at Northwestern Hospital, and that led to his diagnosis of finding the tumor on his kidney. But unfortunately, it was too late. It had already metastasized. He was stage 4. I can remember sitting in the truck with him at the hospital where we were working, and him telling me he's got 6 months. And I said, dude, you haven't even talked to the cancer doctor. And he had Googled the cancer and what it meant to have it metastasize, and he had already given himself the death sentence. And I'm probably the most optimistic person you'll ever meet. The glass is always half full. And here I'm trying to tell him, and he's showing me in black and white that he's got 6 months to live. It was already in his lungs. It was already in his lymph nodes. I can't stress this enough. If something's wrong, if you think something's wrong, go find out what the fuck it is. If it's a kidney stone, they can fix it. If it's a kidney infection, a bladder infection, they can fix it. If it's cancer and it's far enough along, they can't fucking fix it.
Why do you think he waited? Why do you think he ignored? Do you think he was thinking it was diabetes related, or do you think it just?
I think Kelly didn't want to take time off work. He had been through financial problems, and he was afraid that, quite seriously, he would go bankrupt again. I truly believe that. And either that, or he didn't want his wife to have to go to work. He and I never really discussed it. Of all the things that we talked about the last 18 months of his career, I never broached that subject. I do know that, after he was diagnosed, we're, going around the hospital, we're in an elevator, and he would squat down and stretch his back out. And I asked him, I said, what are you doing? And he says, stretching my back out, it's the tumor. It's bothering me. And I went, Kelly, you were doing that in October when we were in Havana at the powerhouse. And he was diagnosed in March.
So it had been going on for quite a while. He probably just
ignoring it, man.
Yeah, ignoring it. So what the HLRCC is, it is the hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer.
Right.
And so it's a disorder in which it affects individuals tend to develop benign tumors containing smooth muscle tissue in the skin and in females the uterus. The distribution of age at diagnosis for 103 individuals with HLRCC associated renal cell cancer. The mean age at diagnosis was 41, with the range from 11 to 90-year-old. And apparently 7% of the cases have been diagnosed before the age of 20.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I know it's rare, right?
It's uber rare.
Yeah.
Especially in men. It's predominantly a female disease. Mom had 2 partial hysterectomies in her early 30s. And, of course, there's no way of knowing whether or not it was caused by this gene mutation. But, everything points to it that's what it was. And honestly, that's a burden she bears. She blames herself for Kelly getting sick.
And back then, there's probably, being that it's so extremely rare, there probably was very little research done.
Oh, Kelly, I believe the number was 183. Kelly was the 183rd person on this planet to be diagnosed with HLRCC.
Now, talk a little bit about after he found out and then they started doing treatments, because I know he elected to do treatments.
Yep. He, the astonishing thing to me is the world-class medicine we have right here in Peoria, Illinois. He went to, and I don't remember the doctor's names, his oncologist. His practice was getting ready to be named one of the top 50 in this country.
Wow.
No, the urologist. I'm sorry. The oncologist was a world-renowned oncologist. Fortunately, he just retired. His name was Dr. Fishkin. Even though I've never had cancer, I have an oncologist, and actually a new one because Dr. Fishkin retired. And you know, that's the thing. This last time I went for my MRI, the nurse practitioner was super excited. I talked to her for over 2 hours, and she was excited because she has two families in Peoria, Illinois, that have the same thing. That's how rare it is.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, it really sucks that I'm part of that club, but because she was telling me about you're talking about the smooth muscle tumors, and I guess sometimes they turn into like an open sore, which would really suck, and I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And I said, no, I have these right here. They're called smooth muscle tumors, and she goes, no, that's them. They can become open sores, and she goes, they're really. I said, so like, the thing for the chicken pox. Damn it! What am I thinking?
The immunization?
No. Rick, no. I'll think of it.
But is it like what is it? How they treat chickenpox? Is that what it is?
No. If you've had chicken pox, you have the virus shingles.
Shingles, yeah. Shingles.
Yeah. And she says, yeah, kind of, sort of, but not really. And I guess the other family that's here in Peoria, it happens to them a lot. And I really feel very sad for them. And as long as I can remember, I've had them. And the funny thing is, I only have them on one half of my body, kind of like Kelly did. And the half of his body that he had them on is the kidney, the kidney that had the tumor. And, I was honestly prepared to get tested and donate a kidney,
So then I know he was also part of a government experimental
Yes,
treatment too.
He had the surgery. They took his kidney. They put him on chemo for the 6 or 7 weeks that he took to recover from the kidney surgery. And when he went back for his PET scan, it had absolutely just exploded. The chemo hadn't put a dent in it. And in the meantime, his wife had done some due diligence and found this HLRCC. They took it to Dr. Fishkin, and Kelly told me, he said, the doctor even said, you realize how rare this is. This is probably not what you have. And sure enough, they did genetic testing, and boom, there it was. And fortunately for Kelly, he got referred to the National Cancer Institute at the National Institute for Health, and it extended his life for about a year, which I know it means the world to me.
Well, yeah, he got a lot of extra time that nobody thought he was going to have.
Yeah. And then Memorial Day 2 years ago, he went out there. He had a lesion on his spine and new lesions on his lungs. And that's what kicked him off the trial. Then he had a fork in the road where he had two different treatments to take, and he had retired on disability, and he chose the fork in the road that he could do here in Peoria. The other one, he had to go to Bethesda, Maryland, and he had to be admitted into the hospital. And since he had retired, they could no longer afford for Tina to go with him. So he chose the treatment here, which it absolutely positively didn't even come close to working. And then they stopped that because it was literally making him insane. And then he went on an alternative method, high THC CBD oil, and the cancer was softening his vertebrae. So he had a surgery on his spine to alleviate the pain in his back. And when they opened him up, the cancer in his spine was dead. And I will sit here, as God is my witness, the only treatment my brother was taking was the CBD oil. And I know that for a fact.
So from the time he found out, going through the chemo, kidney removal, flying to, was it Maryland he was going to?
Yeah, Bethesda, Maryland, Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. And then the treatment that he comes back here to do, and then the THC. How long did he make it?
Somewhere between 18 months and 2 years. And I want to say it was closer to 18 months. I know he was on the treatment for a year. It was like 7 weeks. Because and the other amazing thing is how fast they got him into get the kidney going. How, you know, he went and saw the oncologist. The next morning after that, the urologist actually opened his practice up before ours and met with Kelly. And then he got him on the schedule. But I want to say it was like 6 weeks out. And then the next day we were working together and he got a call from Tina. And there was a cancellation. And he was able to get in the following week, I believe. I think he was, after diagnosis, I think it was like a week, maybe a week and a half until he had the actual surgery. I mean, they had to rush him through all the tests, the CTs and the PETs and the biopsy. And I mean, just, it was crazy.
So where was your mind at when you first found out?
I was scared. I mean, I was actually at Lodge. I think practice.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
And I had to leave. And I was scared. I was upset. You know, how do you prepare yourself for that? You know, I knew I was going to see him the next morning. I don't know. I praying that it wasn't as bad as he thought it was, praying it wasn't cancer, praying it was just a benign tumor.
Did you find yourself struggling with it more over time as he was going through the treatment? And
not really, because Kelly had such a positive attitude about it. I mean, we would talk and I would go, "You're going to fucking beat this." And he'd go, "Or I get to go meet Jesus." I mean, without fail, he would say that time and time again at work, sitting in the bar,
Right,
and,
wherever.
Yeah. And it just, so, I mean, he made it easy.
I remember when, we had the benefit, you guys had the benefit for him over there in Washington. Mm-hmm. And, people were going through line and he was laying in the hospital bed because I think he was just at that point.
Well, it was an air mattress on top of a cot.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. But I think because at that point he wasn't really, ambulatory. He wasn't mobile.
It was the cancer in his spine.
Yeah. It finally just to the point he really couldn't move around. That was just too painful for him. But I remember going through and talking with him, and I was always a little bit amazed when people would just come up and say, "I'm sorry," and he'd look at him and say, "What are you sorry for? You didn't do it."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just how he's like.
You didn't give me this.
You didn't give me the cancer. It's saying you. What are you sorry for? And not in a rude way, just in Kelly. His matter of fact. You didn't do it. What are you sorry for?
His sense of humor about it. I mean, we were, and he would say stuff, and I just look at him and go, "What in the fuck is wrong with you?" And I can remember we were at OSF, and you'll see the pattern that a lot of this experience was at St. Francis because it's where we worked together.
Right.
And the last 18 months of his career, we worked together day in, day out. I mean, we went to work together, we went to break together, we went to lunch together, and we left to go home together. So we're in this truck, and we'd stop to talk to the electrician foreman. And the electrician foreman asked him, I hear you have cancer. And he says, yeah. He says, but the cool thing is, he says, going to the cancer center. And the electrician said, why would that be cool? He goes, man, it makes me feel young. And I just looked, I said, and you wonder why the fuck I think what is wrong with you?
Why is that? Why would you say that?
But honestly, it was his way of dealing with it.
Yeah, I do think that he accepted it very early on.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, because, after he thoroughly convinced me that he was stage 4 and he had 6 months to live, and I distinctly remember saying, okay, you know what you need to do? And he goes, what's that? And I said, you need to make a list of all the things you want to do in life. And I said, get busy living. And he goes, all I want to do is walk Cheyenne down the aisle. And I went, well, she might be a little young for that.
Yeah, because she, 16 at the time? Or 15?
15.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have probably been a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was right around the same time. Then it was the next year is when his son Zach got married, right?
Kelly was right at the end of his life.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was really close.
Zach and Sam just celebrated their first, I think. Yeah. No, maybe they did celebrate their second. I don't know. I don't keep track of shit like that.
Oh, their anniversary?
Yeah.
I think it was their second
Yeah.
one, their second year.
Yeah, and the cool thing Zach and Sam did is the Thursday night before Zach and Sam were going to get married, I had stopped by Kelly and Tina's house, and Zachary was there, and he was really upset because he was struggling on whether or not his dad was going to be able to be there. And I said, you know what, dude? All he's got to do is sit in the car. I said, I'll have an army of men here to carry him to the car, and I'll push him down the aisle, And they ended up calling the pastor, and they were actually married Friday night at Kelly and Tina's house so Kelly could be there.
Yeah, I remember when they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was really a good tribute to his dad.
Yeah. I even told Zachary at the wedding, I said, what you did for your dad is probably one of the coolest things you ever did for him. Yeah. And then I apologized for outdressing him. Well, and if you see the pictures, you'll understand why I did.
It's a high. We'll talk about that later. I don't know where we're going with this. We'll just leave that alone. So it progressed, right? The end came.
Yeah.
Do you remember reacting to it the same way you did when you found out your dad had passed? Or do you think you handled this one a little bit differently?
I think I handled it better. I mean, I still took a week off. I still tried to drown my sorrows. I think I was better prepared,
Well, that was going to be my next question. Did you feel like you had more time to kind of prepare for it? Because it sounds, your dad was pretty sudden.
Yeah. And honestly, with Kelly, even though I didn't get to see him as much as I wanted to, I could see the downward spiral he was in. And, we all thought it went to his brain. It hadn't, but he wasn't in his right mind. At one time in the hospital when he was doing the secondary treatment in Peoria, they literally had to restrain him to the bed to keep him from hurting the nurses. And that's just not my brother.
No, that wasn't him at all.
No.
That was probably the treatment or something.
As a matter of fact, I stopped in on a Friday, and I'd been told that he had spoke pretty nasty to Tina, and he had done some shit. So I got there, and he was, he noticed me, and we talked, and I said, "What's this shit I hear that you been talking trash to Tina and trying to hurt these fucking nurses? What's wrong with you?" And, I haven't been doing that. So, I mean, he was in and out of it. I believe at the time, they were floating his eyeballs in morphine.
Oh, he may have been high or not even realize what was going on.
And that's when they found out that he was allergic to morphine. They diagnosed him as allergic to morphine, and their answer for this was give me more fucking morphine. And don't ask, I don't know. I can remember Tina saying that that's when she found out that she could fire the oncology team from the hospital and bring his oncology team in. And that's exactly what she did. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, at that point, you want the care to be as aggressive and you want to make sure that it's as seamless and painless for him.
Exactly. And I mean, then he, he went home, and honestly, I believe at that time he got up and went to the restroom, and they came in and they were discussing the medications he was on. And if there's a Doan out there, I think I heard that he was on it. And they had him on 3 different types of laxatives, for God's sake. And, I mean, he absolutely couldn't have been in his right mind because he was so fucking high.
Yeah, there's no way. No way. He's probably having a medication reaction, didn't even realize what was going on.
Well, and that's just it. I mean...
especially, I could see it if he was... Well, that's exactly what it was. He was under a lot of medication, wasn't in his right mind, and it was probably that some of that medication is probably what made him mean.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember Nicholas, he was on some ADHD medicine, and this particular medicine that he was taking made him have a wicked bad temper. Just
really
go out of his mind, real mad. So I could see something like that happen where, and if maybe that was part of the allergic reaction to the morphine.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? So where do you think you're at now?
I think I miss him. I really do. I think about him a lot.
Yeah, I think, because you're always going to be sad. You're always going to have feeling of loss, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can miss the hell out of him. And just for the record, how old was Kelly?
45.
45, yeah. He was
way too fucking young.
Yeah, way too young. I think Kelly's 1 year younger than me.
Yeah, because he'd be 47 right now.
Yeah, he's 1 year younger than I am.
Yeah, and you said he was my younger brother, but obviously we established that I'm 19 years younger than you.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've aged poorly. I think I said that already.
Yeah, I know.
But this has been, 2 years, right? 2 years. So he was...
2 years I want to say it was last Saturday.
So he would have been probably 43 when he was diagnosed?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, that's really young.
Oh, absolutely. And it's hard telling how long he'd had the symptoms. I mean, like I said, it was March when I asked him about it, and he was doing the same thing in October. The October before, I just...
Well, and like you said, he ignored it, and he does what a lot of us guys do.
Last Friday was 2 years.
He did a lot.
Rub some dirt on it, it'll go away.
Yeah, same thing that we've always been taught, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Don't be babies. Don't be a wimp. Come on, there's nothing wrong with you. Stop
acting like a little girl.
Yeah, stop acting like a little girl.
Well, one thing you guys had in common, you both have girls' names.
This is true. And that's okay. It made us tougher. And our sides probably had a little something to do with that. So, any words of wisdom for the group out there?
Oh, man, I don't know about that. I've said it before. I've said it in this podcast. If something's wrong, And I don't care how little you think it is. Go find out what's wrong. And because early detection, hell, they could have cut his kidney out and it would have been fine. You know? And then if you had to lose the other one, I got two. You know?
Right. There could have been something done.
Yeah.
I probably could have bought him a lot more time.
By the time he got around to being diagnosed, you know, I mean, and honestly, getting him to get the CT done was like pulling teeth. I mean, there's a story behind that. I originally it was 50 with 20 years of experience, and I went to the hall and threw a fit. What about us third generation guys that have been breathing this shit our entire life? And so they dropped it to 40 with 20 years of experience. And I knew Kelly qualified, much less me. So I called and made an appointment for myself to go with Mom and went to work the next Monday. And I said, hey, dude, 40 with 20 years of experience. I know you qualify. And you're just like me. You've been breathing this stuff your entire life. You work the same places I work. And he said, yeah, I'll call. It took me 2 more times, and finally dialing the hall on my phone and handing it to him to get him to make the appointment. And even to that, we went up on a Saturday. We were in a bar having a few beers after work. And he even told me then, I don't even know why I'm going. If something's wrong, I'm not going to get it treated anyway. I'm like, the hell is wrong with you? Well, it'll be God's will. And I said, how do you know it's not God's will that you get well?
Right.
You know, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if he was afraid of the truth. I don't know if he knew deep down something was wrong and he didn't want to know. You know, like I said, we never explored that. You know, we talked about a lot of shit, but we never ever talked about that.
I think it's a lot of things where when you know you're not feeling well and you think something may be wrong, but you really don't want to know what.
Right. And to this day, dude, I still do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it'll go away. And then you're like, hey, dummy.
It's not going away.
What'd you tell that kid last week? You know?
Right.
And, you know, especially in the building trades, you know, all of us have good insurance, some better than others. But I tell these kids all the time, man, if something's wrong, you got great insurance, go use it.
Get checked out.
Yeah. Find out what's wrong. I mean,
if you catch if you catch it early enough, most anything is curable.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff out there that they can't fix.
But. Right. But most everything out there, if you catch it early enough, it is very curable.
So I guess that would be my words of wisdom. If something's wrong, go find out what it is and get it fixed.
I agree. And on that note, we'll call this one a day. Appreciate the conversation, my brother.
I appreciate the invite, bro.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do it again. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about. We got other things that's happened in our lives. We'll get to that.
Maybe we'll talk about how you're going to let me use your boat all summer.
As a passenger, of course. A big thanks to my listeners, and always.
How many do you have now? 12?
Yeah, something like that.
That's pretty cool.
It's not a huge, no, actually it's a little bit more now, but it's actually kind of cool. We're getting listens from Australia and Canada and...
well, I think I should be getting paid more than I am.
Well, I think I should be getting paid more than I am.
Whatever.
I'm getting paid nothing. How about you?
Well, you promised me $50, so...
I'll just buy you a beer. Anyway, in closing, guys, let's keep it real and let's talk about it. Until next time, peace.